As I look around at the other canoes, my heart starts to pound out of my chest. I try to gather my thoughts and get my crew excited. Our boat holders yell, "Get ready!" Seconds after, our steersman yells, "Paddles up!" Then hooky. Suddenly, we are all paddling as hard as we can through the cold ocean water. I hear the sounds of cheering from the beach. I feel the bright sun on my nose and arms. Outrigger paddling has changed drastically from the original form of transportation into what we now know as the very competitive modern sport of paddling. As the Polynesians migrated to new lands, outrigger paddling evolved and adapted to different regions. The conditions of the ocean surrounding our island influenced the making of the outrigger canoe. The outrigger canoe is different from the canoes we use throughout Polynesia. It is much smaller than the ones we sail on and doesn't include a very big paddle to steer. Instead, they would all work together as 6 people and flow together to become one. The shape, weight, and length requirements of the canoe are very strict because they are all based on Hawaiian culture and tradition. To create the hoiva'a, Hawaiians used a tree called the koa tree. These trees were about 19 feet tall and grew deep in the mature forests of the islands. The Hawaiians would know what tree to pick based on what tree the elepaio bird would land on. If an elepaio would land on a tree, it meant that it was not sustainable for a canoe. Another way they would select a tree was with the support of the kahuna. The knowledge and wisdom of the kahuna would help guide the community to know if the tree was the sustainable and appropriate one for creating a canoe. Making a canoe was a big community event. It involved a lot of men from the village, like the priest, craftsmen, and laborers. When harvesting a tree, they took things as offerings like pig, coconut, redfish, and ava. To fell the tree in the forest, they used a tool called a ko'i. A ko'i is a rectangular stone tool fastened to a wooden handle to chop and hew. After the tree had fallen, the priest prayed and they began to roughly shape and hollow out the canoe using the ko'i. The priest walked along the fallen tree and checked the shape and length of it, confirming it was appropriate for this purpose. After this, they hauled it down to the beach, preparing for the rest of the work to begin. Before starting more work, the priest prays and offers more chants. After chanting, they sand out the canoe and the true shape takes form. They begin to add the outrigger element as well. When the canoe was complete, they again made more offerings to the priest and offered a prayer to the akua. From choosing the right tree to launching it, this all had to be done correctly in the right steps, rituals, and respect to preserve the life of the tree as much as possible. In return, it would sustain the lives of those who used it. The hoiva'a was originally used for community purposes, such as transportation and fishing. But as communities began to get more settled and established, the hoiva'a started to take on a recreational role. In 1778, Captain James Cook arrived in the Hawaiian Islands. This arrival would pave the way for the arrival of missionaries. This set into motion the stripping away of the native Hawaiian culture and practices, including the many cultural elements of hoiva'a. As a result, many of the cultural knowledge systems were dismantled and replaced with Western mindsets. Heihewa'a was a gambling sport that people would play as a part of the race. When people wanted to play, they would pick the strongest people in a hoiva'a and bet on who would win. The Hawaiians started taking after European ways and started betting on canoe races. This was later banned by Queen Ka'ahumanu. King Kalakaua brought the sport of paddling back during his reign in the 1800s as a part of the Hawaiian cultural renaissance. This legacy lives on today with many people enjoying the sport and recreation of paddling. Today, many outrigger canoes are made of fiberglass. However, a racing canoe for a regatta is made out of koa wood, just like in the ancient times. In 1908, the Hawaiian Outrigger Canoe Club was the first established club located on Oahu in Waikiki. To paddle at a canoe club, you first become a member by registering, which includes paying the wanted amount for your age division and getting the practice schedule. Paddling has changed over time through new ways, techniques, shapes, sizes, and what the Hawaiians use the canoes for. Paddling has brought me through tough times I have experienced in life, like my dad having a stroke and many other things. It helps me feel connected to the people who passed before me, knowing they are at the finish line cheering me on. When I paddle, I feel at peace. Paddling brings me joy and gives me a sense of freedom.